My name is Abby Olena, and I have a PhD in biological sciences from Vanderbilt University. Here at Duke University, I work with the Science and Society Initiative, and my role as part of that initiative is to help scientists get better at talking about their work with people who aren't scientists. I think that one of the most challenging things for scientists when they're trying to talk about their work with people who aren't scientists is that they have to step outside of what they do for lots of hours every week and really almost speak a different language. So scientists have a lot of jargon that they use on a daily basis that they don't even think about, and that can be really challenging when they try to talk to their neighbor about what their work is, to put it in terms that the neighbor can understand. Another challenge that scientists face when talking about their work is that they care so deeply about it and are so embroiled in the details of what they're doing on a daily basis that they often forget to take a step back and remind people why they should care about what they're doing. So that's another challenge that we face when we're trying to help scientists, talk about their work to people who aren't scientists. I think that actually one thing that makes communication hard for scientists is that they're very cautious and they don't want to overstate their findings. Many scientists that I've talked to have a lot of trouble with the ways that journalists and the media overstate scientific findings, and so they're almost hesitate. So I should say that scientists hesitate to do any communication about their work because they're so scared that it could be misconstrued. And something that I tell scientists when they're worried about talking about their work and they don't want to overstate their findings is that people are always going to frame what you say unless you do it for them. So they have to give people a context in which to understand what they're doing, or people are just going to make up their own context. I think there is a pretty wide spectrum of personality types among scientists. I think that it sort of traditionally is a job that suits introverts pretty well. So people who are happy to be in the lab for pretty long hours. But then again, science is very collaborative. And so the better you are at sort of reaching out to people that are scientists and not scientists and doing the sort of communication that I think is really important, the better you are at doing science. So I think, in terms of the kind of people that are doing it, it really runs the gamut from people who are really internal and quiet and people who are super gregarious and excited to share what they're doing with everyone. In terms of, I haven't thought about, the genetics of what makes somebody a scientist, but I do think that there's a lot about what's inherent about personality that goes into how comfortable people are communicating with other people. And in that sense, if you are a scientist who really is most comfortable working in the lab by yourself or with a small group of people that are scientists like you and sort of having intellectual discourse, then it is a lot to ask for you to sort of move beyond who you are inherently to then do these things, like communicate to a policymaker about why science funding is important, or speak at your daughter's elementary school about why kids should care about the brain, or some, any number of contexts you can imagine where communication is important. And it's a lot to ask of people who would prefer to be doing those more internal things. But I think that people can rise above it, and I see them do that every day in my work. So when we're thinking about how to know if we're successfully teaching scientists to communicate their work to people who aren't scientists, a lot of what we look at are confidence in the individual scientist. So I think many scientists are just petrified when they come into a class like I teach, a communication for scientists class, because they really, like I said earlier, they're nervous about their work being misstated. They're nervous about giving false impressions, about how much the data can really tell us. They're worried that in the media, science is often portrayed as a series of breakthroughs, when in reality that's not how science works. So they have a lot of anxiety coming into it. And so, where I can really measure success is when I look at the end of a class or at the end of a course, and I can see these, individuals who are really nervous about talking about their work at first, step in front of a class or, get in a mock cocktail party scenario, which is what we do at the end of our class. and really see them, at ease and comfortable and having a little bit of fun talking about their stuff. And then on the flip side of that is the people that they're talking to seem engaged. So those are really the two best ways that we measure how successful we've been in teaching people these things.